Okay. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Test, test. 1, 2, and 3. Can you hear it, Julian? Julian can hear it. Okay. And you got a level, Harris, where you are, right?
I'm not hearing it through the stream yet. Here, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing it.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So Harris, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the live stream via Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay. So I'm testing now. The live stream's being shared via Zoom. Is there anyone in the Zoom room? Can you see it, Julian? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. Yeah, my Zoom just disconnected too. Okay, let's try it again.
Okay, it's back now. I hopped into the Zoom room as well.
Okay, so I turned off the sound from the Zoom room so that we're not sharing the sound twice. We'll only be sharing the sound. Greetings, how are you, sir? So Harris,
Yes.
are you able to see the live stream over Zoom?
I can.
Great.
It's the whole web page though.
Yeah, let me see if I can. I've been trying to fix that. Hold on, let me see if I can fix it.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, the only thing is that I cannot see the Zoom room. So that means I'm going to need Julian to manage the Zoom room. Or is that something that you can do, Harris?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Okay. Okay. Are we ready to go to camera one
Do you
feed?
need to make it a host or something?
Who needs to be host?
On my personal Zoom and not on the admin Zoom.
Okay, let me fix it right now. Okay, so we are now sharing the Zoom, the live stream in the Zoom room. Audio is off. We have a couple of presenters here. Kelly is in the room. We are almost ready to pray in. So are we a go? And is the recording on? Yeah, come on down, Terrence. Good to see you. Harris, all systems go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. All right. I'm going to hang up our phone connection. You want to come up here in the front row? You can come sit right here if you want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on down. That's pretty smooth. There you go. Absolutely. We tried something a little different with the Zoom room, and so I just set up a Zoom tech host. This is going to be our mic here. Check, check. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll talk from here. Okay, we got all our technology together. Let me make sure I'm coordinating with everyone. Okay. Do you have a did you? I didn't know. But, I sent it up there. We'll pray into it. Yeah, she called me this morning. I sent her the message to make sure, because I don't see her in the Zoom room.
Oh, really? Really? Okay. Thank you. And I see.
I think this is coming on the screen. All right, bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Love you. Can you hear me, Miss Sylvia? I hear you. Oh, hello. I don't have my camera on. There I am. There you are. Thank you. How do I hear the rest of this? They haven't started yet. Oh, thank you. You're good. Thank you. Thank you. Patricia helped me get in. Okay. Because I was doing all the other stuff, trying to send it to my neighbors. Okay. Yeah, they're still working on getting things a little bit set up, so that's why I had my camera off.
You have them muted, Julian? I don't hear them now.
You hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I still hear you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you unmuted yourself. Okay, we're going to mute you right now, Sylvia.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, we are ready to go live. You want to give me a count? And are you driving the ship, Julian? To go live. Okay. All right. Guess I should get my water. All right. I see the Ahiah graphic. Are we streaming? Okay, because I'm not seeing it here in the.
You just gotta hit play, Rev.
Oh, just play? Oh, to the right, sorry. To the right, sorry. Because we were recording all that time, right? Oh, you start? All the way. Okay. And then we'll just edit that, right? Will I see a live update here? Okay, hold on.
You should, but you gotta hit play one more time.
I'm like in a time loop.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, just keep going at regular speed. It'll have a little bit of a lag, but that's okay because we'll have your audio to
Okay.
supplement that.
Okay, wonderful. So we're good to go? We got to count in 5. All right, we are live, yes, in the quantum world. Welcome to the Rebuild Altadena Town Hall. This is our 3rd town hall, and I'm hearing a little bit of a feedback loop here. Let me see if I can turn off the audio here.
That should help it. I muted your mic.
Okay.
But we'll still hear the audio through YouTube.
Okay. We're hearing audio on the monitor, so perhaps I should just mute the monitor. Let's do that. There we go. We are learning how to walk and chew gum at the same time here. It's a miracle of modern technology. This is our first time live streaming from the Zoom audience because we have people that are calling in from different geographic locations. So again, welcome to our Rebuild Altadena Town Hall. This is the second in the series of the Rebuild Altadena Town Halls. Our first town hall was 2 years ago, and our topic was was it 2 years? A year ago? A year ago, wow. And the topic was homelessness. We had homeless outreach solutions, and we had participants from all over the area. And today we're going to revisit our town hall topics from August 30th, and we have a couple of presenters today. There may also be some homeowners on their way to come and share about their experience. We also have a live audience in the Zoom room, so thank you all for taking time out of your Saturday to come and help us make this a success. We like to open all of our events with prayer, with an invocation. So if you would join with me as we just turn within to that secret and sacred place of the Most High. As we close our eyelids gently, we just draw in a breath, recognizing this breath as the one power, the one presence, the one that goes by many names and responds to them all. We call it good, God, Allah, Shiva, Jesus. We call it the Christ. Whatever we call it, it responds. And even before we were formed in our mother's womb, it called us. And so today we celebrate the recognition of that one power and presence. And furthermore, our unity with it, our oneness, knowing that there's not a spot where this loving presence is not. And so we just bless this gathering today, all who are on their way. We bless those who are with us remotely and those who are with us in spirit only. Knowing that all are in their right and proper place, I bless each presenter, all the information that's shared here. And we send a special blessing to our town of Altadena, to all who are still displaced, still making plans to rebuild, knowing that the Spirit of the Most High makes the crooked places straight, and that all is working together for good, for the highest good of all concerned. And so I'm grateful to share this word, to bless it, to know it is so, to know that it's already done in the mind of the one. We let it be done in our minds, even now. And for this, and more than words could ever say, we release it, let it go, and we simply say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Thank you, family. And so just a little bit of background about our previous sessions. The last time, August the 30th, we had Brian McGinnis from regional planning here. And he gave us some information about the getting one-on-one support from the Altadena One Stop Center. That's at 464 West Woodbury Road. It's right next to the McDonald's there on the corner of Lincoln and Woodbury. But that's a one-stop location where you can get your questions answered about your plan reviews. Building and safety is there. If you're doing soil testing, environmental health is there. There's other agencies, including the fire department, public health, and they can review and give you some wonderful information about your rebuilding plans. Also, if you have questions about any permits that you're pulling, you can get one-on-one consultations right there, including for your ADUs, for prefabricated buildings. Today, Lake is going to talk to us a little bit about the prefabs, the pre-built buildings. Is that right, Lake? A bunch of different things. Okay. So you can actually stop in and get a one-on-one consult if you need help just trying to figure things out. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your awareness is that you can go and get information about what pre-approved plans are. LA County offers pre-approved standard plans. They've already been reviewed for compliance with zoning and building codes. And especially for the fire rebuilds after the Eaton fire. These include new designs for new homes and for accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. Those, they used to call them, I think, granny houses, you know, smaller units in the backyard, right? I built one for my daughter 2 years ago, well, 3 years ago now, and hers is a little bit on the larger side. It's 3 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet, 2-story, but still considered an ADU. So you can get information at the One Stop about how to access the pre-approved plan portal. And that's where you can browse some of the pre-approved plans. You can then take a plan and place it on your lot to check the potential fit of it and look at the setbacks. You can get a preliminary zoning check through that portal, and then you can contact the designer of the plan to make it much easier to evaluate designs before you commit. Yes, I have a hand up.
Just a quick thing. You can actually stop sharing your screen on Zoom.
Okay.
Because we figured it out where the audio comes through back there, and there won't be a feedback loop anymore.
Okay. Harris has just informed us of the miracle of modern technology. So we just stopped sharing our screen, and it's coming through on the live stream.
You can make that full screen too.
This can be full screen. Okay, there we go. I like your picture there, Harris, of you and the pony. That's rip-roarious. So that's the information about the LA County pre-approved plan portal. You can also, from that portal, download and review the standard plan catalog. We're going to be sending out an email after this to everyone who attended, so that the handouts will be there, and also this information that I'm sharing with you right now will also be in there. So I'll go back to our agenda here, and we're going to talk about community involvement and a realistic rebuilding process and timeline. And with that is our very own practitioner and real estate professional, Lake Payne. And Lake's going to come up and give us some tips and techniques for rebuilding. You can use that mic right there. Yeah. Do you need the laptop? If you want to, you can come. Yeah, come on up here then. Watch your step. Awesome.
Hello, everyone. So, greetings. So I put together a little PowerPoint to just like kind of give you guys an idea of who I am, and also kind of just what's been going on, not just with Altadena wildfires, but just an understanding that wildfires, floods, hurricanes, all these different things are starting to affect communities, and especially communities of color. So I titled this Moving Beyond Eaton Fires. So once again, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Lake Payne. I'm a practitioner here at Ahiah, but I'm also a real estate agent for Coldwell Banker, and I've been with Coldwell Banker since 2010. But before that, I started investing in real estate in Altadena at the age of 18. So as a matter of fact, my brother has done work for Reverend Mike. So me, my brother, and my sister, my brother was 17, we all started buying property and doing back then what we were calling flips. So we owned a lot of property, but we were young, and so we used to just buy and sell, and then we kind of just like lost it all, you know. But that's a completely different story. But it was fun, and through that process, I was able to, you know, we learned a lot about buying, selling, and building from the ground up, as well as just doing renovations within a house. So a little bit of background about me in regards to Altadena. I grew up in Altadena. I attended both my primary and secondary education in Altadena. I went to Noyes and Elliott. And one of the things I loved about going to Noyes is I was in the gifted program, and we used to, on the weekends, go to our teachers' homes, and they would, you know, have gardens in their backyards, and we would pick fresh strawberries and make jam, and just have intimate, intellectual conversations. And so it was interesting because here was this community that was really preparing these young students to be, you know, innovative thinkers, entrepreneurs, and leaders of the new world. So that was a very profound experience to have that in Altadena. I lived on both the east and the west side of Altadena. And one of the things that I appreciated was the diversity in my community. You know, this Altadena was one of the few areas that you can grow up and your neighbors were of different ethnic groups, you know, different socio-economic backgrounds. And that was nice because when I look at other communities, they're not as diverse. And so I noticed that African Americans, they kind of have insecure feelings about other ethnic groups because they didn't grow up around those ethnic groups. They weren't in those homes, so they have different perceptions, and the same vice versa of what people's perceptions are of African Americans. So, but when you are really involved with one another in the community, and that person is your neighbor, and you're going over to borrow salt, and then tomorrow they may come over and borrow toilet tissue, then you build a different type of bond with that individual. Altadena is surrounded by nature, so you know we're walking up all through the mountains. You know, we would, you know, swim in the waterfalls, and that was just really a great experience growing up. Also, no one locked their door in Altadena. Like, no one. Like, still to this day, I still, like, just turn people's door expecting it to be open. But that just goes to show you how safe it was to live in a neighborhood where no one locked the door. And if one door was locked, another door was open, a window was open, it was always something that someone could be able to get into the house. And everyone just looked out for one another. It was like, you knew that you needed to be good because even if your parents weren't around, it was another parent that was going to make sure that you were good. So it was definitely a very great place to grow up. So now I'll talk about the current affairs of Altadena. And there's a lot going on. I mean, ever since the day of the fire, I was actually showing property, and we were supposed to come to Altadena, and it was just so much wind going on in the valley that we just decided to stop there because we're like, it's, you know, we could see the fires from the Palisades, and we're like, we think we better just, you know, call it a day. But 2 days after the Altadena fires, I told my client, I said, we need to look now because everyone's going to be displaced. Home prices are going to go up, and you're going to have to start competing with other people, and the chances you finding a place are going to be slim. So I had to push my client to go out and to find a place before that happened because I was slowly starting to see them go up. So right now there's displaced individuals. There's a rebuilding process that needs to happen. I'm going to talk about environmental injustice. I'm going to talk about how each individual needs to evaluate and just come to an understanding of what it means to be an active participant in your community. I'm going to touch a little bit on investors. Then I'll give you a little synopsis of the current market update and what it means for Altadena is not for sale. Okay. So I'll start with displaced individuals. I mean, Patricia, like she just said, like 10 out of 7 people that have been displaced still don't have an actual stable living condition. So once the fires happened, like, yeah, the market was flooded. We were very, as real estate agents, we were very cautious of making sure that it wasn't a seized opportunity to take advantage of vulnerable communities. A lot of people felt like that. And what happened is that there's a lot of inventory, a lot of people that have homes that they choose to rent out or they choose not to rent out. So when they saw that all these people needed places, then the market ended up being flooded with new properties. And those homes, unfortunately, were expensive homes. But if you've been in your home for over 30 years, you're not aware of what the current rent market is. You know, like it's easy, $4,000 to $7,000 a month just for something that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom home. So when these people, you know, when Altadena residents started having to look for places, they weren't ready. They were looking at places that the rent was more than their mortgage, you know, almost 3 times as much as their mortgage. And so that was a real issue. We had seniors that didn't have streams of, you know, income to match 3 times the amount. And even though these people were displaced, that's what landlords were requiring. So HUD, in order to, reduce price gouging, they did set memorandums in places to make it to where landlords could not capitalize and try to take advantage of a vulnerable community. So they still have those guidelines in place. And so what we have to do is we have to follow a HUD limit of what a lease can go for. So it's designated by zip codes. And from there, we follow those zip codes. And it varies. We use that as a guideline, but we can go to increase the property as much as 30% based off of the condition of the property and also the taxes. There's different things, the different rules that they put in place as far as the price points. But I know myself in particular, have been, you know, just kind of educating the landlords on how they need to, you know, understand that these people are coming from a space where they have different situations. They have animals. I had a homeowner that did not want to take a client with pets, and those people have been displaced for a while. And so it took me going to see the pets to make sure that they would be, you know, suitable to live in the house, because she was just scared that they were going to dig up her backyard. So as real estate agents, we've really had to go above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that we're doing all that we can do to get as many people that are displaced into communities. So there's some websites that I have as far as looking at places like affordable home housing. The HUD website has listings right now. Senior housing complexes, and with a lot of these senior housing complexes, only one person has to be over the age of either 55 or 65. So that way, because a lot of people are worried about their adult children, so they can stay with them. And a lot of their adult children are their caregivers, so they are allowed to stay in those senior housing. But other alternatives that people have to consider are putting mobile homes on their lots. So, we're starting to see that. And, a mobile home, a new one can range anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, but there's looking into used mobile homes as an alternative, prefab homes. So we really have to encourage people to be creative on this whole idea of being displaced, because we know that you want to get back into your areas, and some people have had to move out of the state, and then they still have to come here to deal with their properties. And we want to try to encourage you guys to try to make everything as affordable as possible, because when you don't want to gnaw away at the money that you do need to rebuild, or the money that you still have to pay, even though they delay it, but some people still have a mortgage that they have to consider. So those are things to take into consideration. Okay, so the rebuilding process. Everyone's situation is going to be different. You have to deal with your insurance companies, and that's been challenging for people because insurance companies are not wanting to dish out all of their money right now because of the amount of people, and so they might be in a state of conflict of even trying to get government assistance. So there's a lot of things that are delaying the process as far as claims. Some people, if you don't renew your insurance to meet the price of the home value of what your home value may be today versus what it was, 20 years ago, then that's having an effect on what people are getting for their property and how much money they're going to have to rebuild. So that's like one variable. Then you have the variable of, you got your money, but now you need to choose a reputable architect and a licensed contractor. And one of the things that I'm starting to see is that, you're getting people to come in, and everyone wants to say that they're a contractor and that they're an architect, and, this person is their friend. And, you guys are individuals that have never went through this process. When you bought your home, and it was there on the property. So now you're having to start brand new. And that's why I really invite you to lean on us as agents, because we do know what a property needs to look like. You may think that you want to stay in there for the rest of your life, but at some point, people do sell their homes, and you want to make sure that the home is done in integrity. And one of the things that does add value to the home is how it's built, that workmanship. And homes that have, well-renowned architects are known to go for a higher price. And during a time like this, these architects are willing to give, designs, these well-renowned architects, because they know what's going on right now. So I would encourage you to, seek, high-end professional, and don't think of, I know it's easier said than done to think about the price, but just look and see who's willing to do things for the situation, before you just go to someone who's trying to take advantage of you, because that's a lot of what we're seeing right now. And contractors have already ran off with money. So you also want to make sure that you're not giving funds to someone when you haven't even had permits signed off on. You're going to have people that are going to take advantage of you during this process. So some of the other things that add value to a home is quality schools. We have to ask ourselves, what does a school district look like in Altadena? That has an effect on our home prices yesterday, and it will have an effect on our home prices as we're building. Grocery stores. people like to live in close proximities of good grocery stores. Now, does that mean that it has to be a fancy grocery store? No. People really like grocery stores that sell, like, real produce, real fruit, So, but just taking that into consideration when you're thinking about what's in your neighborhood. Safety is another big thing that's important as far as adding value. Being in close proximity to hospitals. Remember, Altadena is an older community, so being in close proximity to hospitals is very important to people, and all of that adds value to your home. And like I said, I mean, once the fires happen, people that had bat shelter tile on their fireplaces, people were trying to get up to Altadena to take that tile that was still there, that didn't actually burn down because of the value of it. So as you're going through this process, take into consideration some of the things that might help add additional value to your house as you're rebuilding. There's a website called House, HOUZZ, that there's tons of architects, contractors, designers that it's like a Facebook for houses. And those people will give you free information on what you should do and what you shouldn't do as you're going through the building process. And then a realistic time frame. Now, I know we all want to have our house built in a year, but I can tell you, even without a fire, it's unrealistic. It normally takes, for someone adding on to their home and rebuilding, adding 500 square feet, it could be a 6-month to a year process just for the permits. And so even though we know that it's, everything is expedited and things of that nature, just know that you have to take into consideration material delays because everyone's building at the same time. So it could be a delay on wood. It could be a delay on your marble, anything. And also, it's a delay in the soil. We haven't even asked the soil if it's ready to be built upon yet. That's the practitioner in me, the soil is still traumatized. Have we given our soil time to heal? Me and Patricia had a conversation. I said, yeah, we can have all these soil testing, but Altadena was a place that has. I mean, we had a lemon tree in our backyard that was the size of an oak tree. So are we planting things that grow on our soil to see if it grows before we decide to put a home on it? Because I can guarantee you that after you go through all this process, and like I said, we're the people that have to come in and have to, resell what you built. And the first thing that people will ask for is it a soil test? Because people want to discount your home. So they'll ask, is it a soil testing? And you have to disclose all this stuff. Or, and so for us, we want to make sure that before anything is built, that it's built on a ground that needs to be built on, Like I said, we want to make sure that we have saged our soil before we just start going out and saying, I want to build, because that's what we want. But where are we coming from when we're coming from that space? Are we coming from our man desires, our humanistic desires, or are we coming from our spiritual desires, and understanding that our soil needs to heal first and foremost, and when it's ready to be rebuilt, it will be rebuilt. Everything will fall into place. So if we're pushing something and it's not happening, know that it may not be time for it to happen yet. And you have to be okay with that. Altadena is going through a full transition, and like I said, when I first started selling real estate, I was always surprised that agents who didn't live in Pasadena or Altadena, the perception that they had of Altadena is feeling like it was not an area of true value. And I'll talk about that right now. It's just like I'm going into, this goes into this segment of environmental injustice. It happens. We Love Canal in 1970. I did research on that and didn't even realize that it was an African American community up there, because most of the stuff that you've seen in regards to the Love Canal that happened in New York was primarily targeted on sharing the whites in the suburban neighborhood, their story, but there was a low-income housing community that had blacks that became displaced. The whites did not want them to even remotely get any income for, you know, the tragedy that happened to them as far as like birth defects, all the types of things of that nature. Hurricane Katrina was different because it was a different effect to where whites were able to take advantage of the GI Bill, so they built all these new homes on below sea level areas. And so then when the hurricane hit, they were the ones to be, you know, impacted just as much as blacks, but it was because of the racial, the redlining that happened in that segment. Paradise Fires is just another one that comes up, and it's reminding of that happened in 2018, and they still are going through the rebuilding process, just to show you how long. I mean, we're in 2026, just to show you how long some of these things can take. And now tapping into the Eaton fires. You know, the area that got hit the hardest was the area that was predominantly African American. And I invite all of you guys to look online and look at the redlining map of Altadena to see exactly which area was hit the hardest. So whenever environmental injustice happens, African Americans, they are affected most because they do tend to live in areas that are close to Superfund areas, toxic waste dumps, flood, and wildfire areas. And yet we are unknown of, we are oblivious to that, and we are also oftentimes kept out of the conversations because we don't know that. We just are happy to live where we live. So in saying that, I invite everyone to become an active participant in their community, whatever that community is. And that's what we're doing right now. We're having town hall meetings. We're having a conversation about, you know, Altadena. Like Reverend Mike said, we had a conversation about the homelessness, like participant in the community. Also neighborhood coalitions. You know, joining with your neighbors to form those neighborhood alliances to understand what's going on in your neighborhood, whether it's someone that may be, you know, breaking into, you know, someone's house, or a neighbor that may need some additional help. You can form neighborhood coalitions. Also, another thing to think about and consider as Altadena is being rebuilt is designated areas. Like, you know, you have Madison Heights in Pasadena, Bungalow Heaven. Those are also things that help add value. So just think about, as you guys are going in and rebuilding the areas, think about designation areas, because that also helps to share the story of the past and the future of Altadena. Hold your public officials accountable. You know, half of us don't even know who our public officials are. We don't have conversations with them. And then when something happens, we oftentimes move more to a federal level and then to a state level and then the locals are the last ones hiding behind the shield when they're the ones that are really supposed to be advocating first and foremost for us, and then taking it to the state and then to the federal level. So I invite you guys to really stay in contact and hold your public officials accountable for things that are going on in the area, especially when it comes to weather preparedness and fuel management. Because moving forward, there are things that need to be checked, and we need to make sure that, you know, fire hydrants have water in them, and if not, why, you know, and what you can do as a resident to be prepared for any type of disaster, whether it's wildfires, whether it's earthquakes, whether it's, you know, heavy rainstorms. Because like I'm mentioning, as climate change continues to happen, we don't know what type of weather conditions we're going to be up against, but extreme weather conditions are starting to happen more frequently. So we need to take that into consideration. I recently did research on African Americans' perceptions of, you know, environmental issues. And one of the topics that came up is the likelihood of individuals in general to pay increased taxes towards wildfire preparedness. And so as we're looking at these things, they are going to try to increase taxes, and we want to be involved. And if we're paying a higher tax, we want to know where that money is actually going. Are African Americans paying a higher tax and it's benefiting a certain community? Are we making sure that it's benefiting our community as well? So we really want to, play an active participant in our community. Investors. There's been a lot of talk about investors and are they, coming in and changing the landscape of Altadena. Investors have always been there. Investors are not going anywhere, And I'll tell you some pros of investors, and then I'll tell you some cons. So some of the pros are they're equipped with capital, and they have the builders, and they have the fast turnaround. And investors create a path towards home ownership for someone who prefers to buy a finished product. And then in the selling of the homes, they don't hold on to properties. So like we had an influx of groups that come in, they buy property, they hold it, and then it makes it hard for anyone to get in, and they end up dominating a territory. Investors, they have no interest in that. Their job is to sell the property. So what that does is it creates an influx of buying and selling, which always helps to increase the value of your home. So with them doing that, it's a good thing. Some of the cons with investors, and especially when it comes to Altadena as far as people's concerns, is that the workmanship sometimes is not done with charm. The homes all look the same. They're usually done with lower quality materials. They have the potential to overbuild on a lot, and then they're not familiar with the community landscape. So they come in and they build something that's not in the integrity of the community collectively as a whole. They're just, like, we need a house, we need to build a 3-bedroom, we need this. We'll put a white kitchen cabinets in there, great tile floor, and laminate floor, and charge a high sticker price. And that's not what you want. I mean, I have pink tile in our bathroom, and that pink tile was so good. And whenever I go into a house and see pink tile, I'm like, yes, this is never, it just lasts forever. So with investors, they do, their workmanship can be a little, challenging. But also take that into consideration as you are doing your own designs and with some of the contractors that you're thinking of. Like, do they do quality work for rentals? Do they do quality work for homes? Are they familiar with working with Spanish style homes, or mid-century modern homes? All of these things you need to take into consideration. If they're not, then you want to find a contractor that is. If you want a glass house, you want to find someone that's familiar with building a glass house. If you want a Spanish style home, you want to see their work, because even though these homes are going to be new, you still want it to have a certain aesthetic look to it, to where you know that we are conserving the neighborhood. So let me give you a little bit of a market update, because that's what I do as a real estate agent. That's one of my main jobs, to come into the neighborhood and pass out information and tell you what's really going on in the neighborhood. And so right now, there are 42 active residential listings on the market in Altadena for sale. Over the past year, there's been 132 sold properties in Altadena with an average list price of $1.3 million and a sold list price of $1.2 million. Now, does that mean that every house that came on the market sold for that? No, that's the average list price. So that means that we have homes that sell for higher, we have homes that sell for lower. But on the average, you can't really get a house in Altadena for under, $1 million. Maybe slightly under, but not too close to under $1 million these days. In regards to land, there's 79 active land listings, and over the past year, from these numbers are coming from a year to date, so from 124 2025 to 12426. Now there were 341 sold land lots that sold with an average list price of $649,000 and an average sold price of $625,000. And those prices are going up. There's depending on the lots, there's lots that are going for about $1 million, and there's lots that are, going for around roughly around $500,000 for some of the smaller lots that are more flat, that are kind of on the west side of Altadena, just because they have a little bit more of that flat look. So, just know that, and is this in like what, people will ask, well, what was the market of Altadena beforehand? And I would say on average, the market of Altadena beforehand was, we would normally have about 42 active residential listings on the market, at any given time. Every Thursday is our caravan, and we have, active homes coming on the market. The difference now is the land. The land is the new thing. And one of the things that I'll say is that in having the land for sale, like, there's more inventory than there's buyers, and most people are not going to want to deal with, starting from scratch and building a home. But one of the things that people have to think about is that though there are a lot of people that really need to sell their lots, and withholding them, it puts them in a financial burden. So in my opinion, we want to encourage people that might have an influx of capital to share all the beautiful things that we love about Pasadena and Altadena. I call it Pasadena just on default, but that we love about Altadena, so we can help those people that have their lots on the market to sell them, because there is a reason that they are trying to sell them. And normally that wouldn't be the case, but they are definitely in need of selling their lots. So with that being said, Altadena is not for sale. And what does that mean? And for a lot of people, the harassment, and as it's been exposed, I had friends say, I didn't know that Altadena had, like, a black community, or and it was a black, affluent community and all that. And it's like, we don't want you to know. We like to stay hidden. But think about the price points that I just told you of the average list price of what's for sale in Altadena and what has been for sale in Altadena for a long time. So you look around, and the demographics of Altadena is changing, and it was changing slowly. So as we are talking to our public officials and we're thinking about rebuilding Altadena, we may want to think about affordable housing up there. So we do keep a certain demographics of not only people of color, but seniors, people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, because that was the diversity, and that has always been the diversity of Altadena. So when you say it's not for sale, for me, it's like, I don't want to be a sellout. Like, I want my community to still look and feel the way that it did when I grew up there, because that was my foundation, and that has made me into the person I am today. And I can go anywhere in the world and feel comfortable being around people of different ethnic groups, different socioeconomic backgrounds, because of where I grew up. So that's the legacy that I want to stay. That's the legacy that I want to preserve in Altadena. And that's when we need to ask the question, like, how can Altadena stay diverse, and what does that diversity look like? Like we said, our community presence playing an active role in the community. The continuity is something that I'll talk about, because when people ask the question, like, well, what is Altadena going to look like now? And I say, it's going to look like Pasadena. And they're like, what do you mean by that? The difference between Altadena and Pasadena is that, first of all, Altadena is not as dense as Pasadena. We have a lower population. But there are streets where all the houses have a continuity in regards to how they look. One of the houses that I grew up, there were 3 other houses on the same street that looked exactly alike. The only thing that was different was the paint color. So there is a continuity that's kind of a track home type of thing, but it wasn't a whole suburb. It'd be like a street, you know, like, and so when you're building, you want to keep that continuity. You want to partner up with your neighbors and say, hey, remember our street was all Spanish style homes, so we want to try to, do you guys want to keep that continuity? And it's hard when you have other people that are coming in buying lots, you know, but the more continuity that you keep, then the more integrity that you keep to the charm of Altadena, to where it doesn't look so botched, to where you have one house here and one house there. There's all different types of ways to do it, to where you can have everything that you need and you want, and it doesn't have to look as massive and out of place as what it is. And then another thing about Altadena that we want to make sure that we keep is the small business presence, the mom and pops. I was just in Altadena at Fox Restaurant, and you talk about crying. When I drove up there and saw that Fox was no longer, I mean, my heart broke in tears just seeing Altadena completely as it was. It was very, you know, disturbing. But just knowing that I had just ate, you know, shrimp and grits at Fox's, I had just helped them put up their Christmas decorations. Literally got on a chair and helped them put up their Christmas decorations. And that's the type of community that we are with small mom and pop businesses. And that's how people, I mean, I have a hair salon, and one of my hair salons started in Altadena. And so we can thrive as individuals by having small mom and pop businesses, and that's what's been able to keep Pasadena and Altadena afloat from that communal connection of the small mom and pop businesses. So we want to make sure that there's a certain amount of small mom and pop businesses that stay in Altadena in the rebuilding process. So that's, did my computer go off? Well, that was actually it, and that's all for me. If you have any questions, I'll open it up for discussion. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, lady. Wow. Yes, indeed. Straight from the source. We grew up in Altadena. That was a wonderful history and background, and I learned a lot of new things about you, Lake, indeed. And I just wanted to update what I had said before. Our first town hall was on February 27th, 2020, 5 years ago. And the mayor of Pasadena dropped in, got wind of it, took a conversation back to the city hall. They passed legislation in Pasadena allowing churches to build on their property, right? After a conversation that started in this room. Then, about 2 years later, city of Los Angeles did the exact same thing. And then a year later, SB 4 at the state level was passed, which allows churches to now build on their property. So that means if we wanted to build senior housing in our parking lot, we could. Not that we want to. We already have a parking opportunity, but we could. But these kinds of conversations create a ripple effect, and we're recording this. We'll be sharing this with our community and with those also at the One Stop. I also want to open it up for some questions and answers afterwards. But just two other things. If you do not yet have an attorney, if you have not joined any litigation, you might want to know that there have been trial dates set for January 2027. What that means is that typically negotiations will start 6 months in advance. That means in June, we can expect the initial litigation conversations to start. So if you don't have an attorney, if you haven't joined a lawsuit yet, I would strongly encourage you to just have some conversations with some attorneys to find out if you can still get on board. Also, soil testing. You can have soil testing done at the One Stop. Neighborhood coalitions are so powerful. You mentioned Lake. In my neighborhood, we have a little, informal group. And just last week, there was a fake water employee going door to door with the little vest on, saying, "Oh, we're the water company." And one of the ladies 2 doors down let them in her house, and they were asking, "Is anybody else here in the house?" And so that's the power of having litigation, because before these people left her house, the sheriff was already on our block. We were already in motion, right? So that's the power of having coalitions, knowing your neighbors and just getting together on a regular basis. And last but not least, I want to talk about reputable contractors, right? So, I built an addition, a 500 square foot master bedroom in my home. I interviewed probably 12 different contractors, 5 different architects, right? And I'm from Chicago. I have a power of intuition. I could tell when somebody's trying to work me, So I already know. I have that sixth sense. But then, you get these contractors that are highly referred. So you're about to hear from Terrence Redd and his sister Dawn, right, who were highly referred. And I had interviewed 5 contractors about our kitchen. And he was the first one that offered a consultation, a conversation. He wasn't just in and out, okay, here's how much it's going to be, boom, and in and out. He sat there and went through a consultation. And then I talked to Dawn, she showed up. I just had a really good sense of their integrity, right? The other thing that I like about Terrence, he's got a mechanical license, and in our kitchen we got some mechanical issues with our hood that we're going to have to balance the air out in there, and he's the one that can do it. So we invited him to come and talk to us, tell us, like, from his perspective. And is Dawn going to come up with you? Or? Okay, so both Dawn and Terrence are going to come up, and they're going to share what they offer. You want to come up here? You can if you. Yeah, come on up. There's a mic here. Do you need 2 mics? Because I have 2 mics. Okay, all right. So this is Terrence Redd and his sister Dawn. Come on down. Good to see you, Dawn.
See you, sir.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for
very
coming.
much for inviting us. So I'm Dawn, as you could tell, and I'm with the R Group. The R Group is the parent company over engineering and construction consultants. That's our building division. The R Group is the engineering, strategic planning, and consultation division. Terrence is a professional energy engineer. I am LEED certified, but also I am his designer, project manager, and also primarily business development coordinator for the companies. We thank Pastor Lattimore for inviting us, and I think I'll start, if you don't mind. I do the soft stuff, he does the heavy-duty technical stuff.
You're doing fine.
Okay, okay. My sensitivity was sparked by your conversation, Ms. Lake, primarily because there were a couple of things I always wondered, and you answered several of those. I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm a native in the Crenshaw, Mid-City, Jefferson Park area, between USC and Culver City. My father had an opportunity with his best friend to work, really to build a church in Pasadena. And for about, 6, 7 years, every Sunday, and even on Saturdays, we would come to Pasadena, have the church services, and be there all evening cooking dinners, serving dinners for the community. And so I'm totally in tune with what you're trying to do with the church. Okay, so that's why I was very adamant about making sure you had certain things. So, and so this is reminding me of that time in my life that Pasadena was one of my favorite places. When I went to college, I wanted to get an apartment in the area along Orange Grove, with those fabulous apartments. But anyway, one of my other sensitivities was paying attention to what happened and who was left to deal with the tragedies of the fire in Altadena. And I thought our talking point should focus on who's left. What are you going to do? A lot of people did not have all their resources and ducks in a row, because you're living life and you're comfortable, and if you're living in that type of a comfortable community, you don't worry about those things. So what I wanted to talk about was, how can we help the seniors and their families and the families who have seniors? So a couple of things we wanted to do was to talk about rebuilding. We know it's a choice, it's not an obligation, and you can take your time making that decision on how it's going to best affect you. Downsizing, alternate housing, or selling a lot can be a smart, a responsible decision, but it really it depends on how it impacts you and your family personally. There's no shame. Some people say, oh, I can't afford to rebuild. That's not even the issue. Think about it. A lot of people, when you become a senior, you're planning on downsizing anyway. You're planning on how you're going to get rid of the house, get rid of all this stuff, get rid of the kids, so you can go on a trip, travel, visit relatives, in other parts of the country, or just get a cute condo that you can just don't have to worry about property issues with, maintenance with. So what we're really trying to do is just let you know that we're sensitive to those issues. For the homeowners that were uninsured or underinsured, I know that there should still be some aid available. It's just that we don't know what's available, how much, and everybody's situation is different. So, I just made some notes. There's always temporary housing. You can always think about FEMA, but I'm sure all these things have been brought up before. There's also the SBA disaster loans that you can talk to someone about at the SBA. But primarily, we want to remind you is that as a homeowner and you're on fixed income, you do not have the pressure. We want you to pay attention to what the repayment obligations are, and if they are really reasonable and realistic for you, and you continuing your lifestyle. We also wanted to remind those that are thinking about rebuilding, you can always go smaller. Remember, you're probably only living in two or three of the rooms of your 6-room house anyway. The rest is just storage, over time. So you can live smaller and simpler, building a home with a smaller footprint, single story, particularly because as you get older, you don't want to deal with stairs. If you had a staircase, you now want to go stay on one level. And at the same time, there's this new wave for accessory dwelling units. They're called ADUs. Everybody knows them. They're also probably what you're being 50,000 phone calls a day about. So, but ADUs are primarily anchored to a residence. So you have to have a primary residence in place. There is a lower cost to rebuild an ADU compared to rebuilding a whole home. And also, there is the opportunity for future rental access to the home, or even a caregiver unit if you need it. The other thing is, LA County has ADU programs that expedite processes, and I remember you mentioned that there is a streamlined process, but it's still 6 weeks. You still have to wait. And also, we wanted to make sure you understand that a smaller, well-designed home can reduce the building costs, your utility bills, and the maintenance for the rest of your life. So we don't want you to be afraid of building smaller and pull your ego out of it.
So let me interject right there a little bit before you keep going. So I came up in Altadena, Pasadena, doing parties, friends, stuff like that. But then I got attached, like she was saying, when we were involved with the church on Fair Oaks. The reason why the R group was formed as a technical group was because the reason why the R group was formed was for a technical reason, okay? After leaving in UCLA in 1981, and the career path that happened, in 1996, I chose to do something for people. Before that, I was doing something for the government. It was secret. So this choice, it just came natural for me to build something somebody could see. I had my family come to an open house before I independently started building, and they couldn't see what I built. It was all secret. So this particular point in juncture, I started a engineering and general contracting company. So we could provide the services, all correct, legitimate, give them what they need, not sell them what I want to sell them. And I found that approach to be more genuine, and we could sleep at night,
Yeah.
live with the choices are made, and that's the way life has been. It's been grand, it's been good. We don't look for making the money to take it from somebody. We look for them to get the value out of the money and opportunity that they have. So we look beyond what's there. We have resources for individuals and families that need to improve their property and want to know, what's it going to cost after it's built? Did he put the right air conditioning in? Is it going to be warm? Is it going to be comfortable? So I made certain we're certified to approve and say what it is, stamped, and run it all into the government so they could understand, yes, there's a real engineer doing real work for the people, not for some other company just trying to make an overhead payment. We don't have overhead. We have a virtual office, and we actually can deliver more value to the things that the people want. So to that end, what Dawn is doing has come from a long history of conversations, a long history of projects. Okay, we have seen since, over 3 decades of building, flipping, building ground up, building corner mini malls, you name it, commissioning large commercial buildings. All that experience is standing in front of everyone when they want to see engineering and construction consultants help them. So that's the name that we're delivering to folk along with the R group. So to that end, we're a resource, a very valuable resource. We know more than your standard architects know. We've seen more. We know how to make and benefit for you the most value out of your money on a piece of soil.
Yeah.
We've turned down jobs out here because the soil's not ready, but others don't. We look for the right thing to do correctly.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the other thing. We laugh all the time about how we prefer to be proud of it than to take advantage of it, so to speak. It's more important to us for that. What I did was I made a list of some other things that seniors have to consider. I have a brochure I'm leaving here with the church, and it's just a helpful brochure to let you know that there are other options. One of the other things I realized when you talk about ADUs, even if, let's say, with the good news that the land is worth over $500,000 for some of the people that are still contemplating whether to rebuild, even if you're a senior and you don't want to take on that whole new home nightmare of rebuilding, because it's never easy, I'm going to be honest with you. There's always the option to move closer to your family, or to take a portion of your land revenue, your proceeds from your land, and build an ADU adjacent to your family's property. You go to a nephew, an aunt, a niece, an uncle, and say, hey, I can build a 500 square foot or 800 square foot unit here, and you can have it. I just want to build it. I will will it to you, and this way you don't have to worry about buying land to build it. You could just basically piggyback it off of their property, and when you decide to start traveling the world or living in a assisted living, they could then have that property to rent or to add extra income to their life. So it would be a win-win for the whole family if you decided to take that. That was just something I thought about that would make it easier. Part of the other things are to think about taxes on new housing. I know they're going to waive a lot of the assessments for those that were fire victims. But it's just that if you go out the area and try to buy, some cities may not honor it. Just depends. You got a little more sensitivity there. But relative to what we do for our customers, we make sure that, number one, you understand all aspects of the contracting process. We recommend you never sign a contract under pressure. And the first person that walks in and say, okay, this is a $100,000 or $300,000 contract, I need $100,000 up front, you need to say, thank you, sir, I appreciate your time, and get up and leave, or walk them to the door. Because anybody that gives you a contract there is a state law that requires them to only charge you up to $1,000 or 10% of the contract, up to $1,000. And that's just to secure the signature for the contract. It is binding. That is why you have a 3-day cancellation period to reconsider. You have time to talk to somebody if you got real anxious and then you have second thoughts. And remember, your stomach is your second gut, is your second mind. If you don't have a good feeling in your gut doing it, talk to somebody. You can even call us. We're leaving our numbers and informations for you, okay? We had a major problem with our family residence, a major flood, and some of the contractors that we were so busy, I said, let me just get another contractor to come in. The guy said, give me $4,000 and I'll give you an estimate. So it just cracked me up. I'm like, wow. Another guy gave me 1 page, 1 document with 6 numbers on it, a 6-digit figure, no details, no explanation. I don't have any idea what I'm gonna get for it, but it tickled me because they actually thought I was gonna go for that.
Now, I didn't know she was doing that, so let me make sure she knows that's the case.
He was just so busy.
I found that out. But she was taught well. She's doing the right thing. Go ahead.
You know, you just want to test things. You know, you're in your own world. We're out here helping. We just need to test what was going on. So we help you with things like verifying licenses, verifying insurance, verifying references. The other problem is there's a lot of pristine performing craftsmen, but they are not properly licensed. So they don't have any skin in the game. They work under other people's licenses. And guess what? That person is not obligated to guarantee their work. So if they say, oh, I have somebody who I work under, say, no, I need to contract with them. That's a key thing for anyone who is going into contracting, okay? Any questions you have, write them down. Do not commit them to your memory, whatever you do. Whenever you go into a meeting, think about it. If there's some information you need, you can always call us. We'll give you a list of things to ask, believe me. But at this stage of your life, the goal is not just to rebuild a structure, but to protect your health, your finances, and most importantly, your peace of mind. There are multiple paths forward, and the right one is the one that just works for you. So we just wanted to let you know that, okay? We have a brochure here that says that you can call us. I have a number here too. It's on the brochure, but it's 310-292-1450. That's our direct cell for information. And if you have any questions about how much you should be paying at signing, call us. If you want to know what the cancellation period is from the date you sign or you're concerned, call us. If you need help with insurances, verifying any aspect of the contract you're getting ready to go into, call us. If you need help managing or wanting to know how to manage the work timeline, call us. And also, let's say you got things going and all of a sudden everything stops and you have no idea why, you're not getting answers, call us. We can help you get past roadblocks as well, and a lot more. So we just wanted to thank, I wanted to thank Reverend Lattimore for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right. Would you have anything else that you want to add?
No, just ready for questions and answers.
Yeah.
Call us, ask us. We're ready. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
All right.
You need your paper.
Awesome. Thank you both. Thank you both. And just for awareness, they're going to be supporting our new kitchen project. So we're grateful to have them on board and to feel confident about our ability to be able to get this kitchen going. So um, I think I shared the story with you that I was watching a episode of Undercover Boss. And one of the employees at this pizza place, he was a chef at his church. And so he took the undercover boss to his church so, she could see what he does. And at his church, every week, he feeds a whole room full of folks, And when I saw that, I said, we are going to do that. We got the room, we're going to have the kitchen, We are going to be able to feed people, And that's a powerful way to support our community, to support folks, Because oftentimes people are not coming because they're hungry for food, but they're longing to belong to community, to be seen, to be heard, to be listened to. And so all the activities that we're doing here, our listening circles, creating beloved community, all of these events are designed to give people a space to be heard. We had a workshop last Sunday, the Soul Collage workshop. It was wonderful. It was from one of the members from the CSL in Granada Hills. And during the listening part, when people were sharing their soul collage, it was evident that there is such a huge hole in the heart for people in our community that have lost their homes, It's been a year, but just the impact of losing, everything is still very much present. And we want to be able to support people in healing and in feeling like they're supported in taking the next steps. So that's why we're going to make this recording available. All of the handouts will be available also, slide deck from Lake. I'm curious if there's any questions online. I see Nancy J in the house. And Nancy, I remember you saying that the ADU on your property is for your caregiver, yes? Can you unmute yourself? Oh, I think we turned off. Yeah, we turned off. Hold on, let me see. Let's try it again. Can we hear you, Nancy? No, I guess not. Can we unmute her, Julian? She's unmuted? Okay. Yeah, I think it's due to the miracle of modern technology. We had such a challenge with the feedback between all the different systems that we had to turn some sound off. But I appreciate you for joining us again, Nancy. And then this recording. Type it in the chat? Okay, okay. Can you type it in the chat, Nancy? Okay. And then Julian, if you see it in the chat, if you could just raise your hand, then you can share it with us. Okay. But we are going to make this available. And my intention is that we'll do another one of these in a couple of months. There are some other issues with the architects. There's issues with building, and I want to have people who've completed their build to come and share. We had Mama Shirley Taylor here last time, who's completed her build by now. But there are some other folks who have completed builds that I want to bring into the space to be able to share. Do you have anything, Julian? No? Okay. All right. So with that, there was some plants to purify and heal the earth. Yeah? Okay. So is that, I'm going to call forward our president of our board, practitioner emeritus, Patricia Roach, who's got some resources for us in the area of plants to purify and heal the earth. And that was the first thing that came forward to me when Lake was talking about that, Yeah, plants that, I think you have to come this way. Or you could use that mic right there. You want to come up? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, he can do that. All right. Thank you, Patricia.
Well, hello. We did have a list of resources, um, and I think both you and Lake mentioned you need to know your officials. You definitely need to know your officials. And I had the wonderful experience of finding out who they are because I'm in Los Angeles, not here. And I did not get the responses that I had anticipated. But I'm not finished. So I will still be contacting them again because they did not return my calls. So Supervisor Catherine Barger's webpage has information on Rebuild Altadena. There is and she has a San Gabriel office, but the coordinator for Altadena is Nishim, Nishim, and he's in the downtown office. I don't have his number right now, but I do have it. The Eaton Fire Recovery, which is the city of Pasadena, and they were really good about getting information back to me. They gave me a list of resources that I am sharing with those of you that are online and anyone else that wants the information. Okay. So there is the Eaton Fire Collaborative, and they have a calendar. You have to scroll down all the way to the bottom. But they had a webinar on insurance where Senator Sasha Perez and Joy Chin spoke about the bills for transparency against the insurance companies and penalties for them delaying payment. Because the way they're hurting our residents is delaying payment, not giving information. And when they give a payment, they're not giving full information as to what they're paying out. So the transparency, these are two AB bills, and I have the numbers. They're on another sheet. But they're in the information I'm handing out. The Eaton Fire Collaborative is near the One Stop that you spoke about, Reverend Michael. And it's 540 West Woodbury Road, Altadena. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, and on Thursday they're there until 7, just so that you know. There's also LA Justice, which has a resource, I would say has resources on their website. They're located on Marengo and Walnut in that building. They're attorneys, but their resources are good. I went on their webpage and looked at them. So if nothing else, you can look. If you're not interested and don't need an attorney, just go to their website and use whatever information they have that can apply to you. And then Joy Chin, she has an Eaton Fire Survivors Network, and I have the email address for it. And she gives a newsletter, which I made a few copies of the newsletter. And did I put it in here? Yes, I did. So the newsletter is quite lengthy. It has a lot of information. She keeps you up to date on the legislation that they're putting in. She's the one that moderated the webinar on the insurance. And I have to say it was very, very informative. The SB 877 requires that insurers disclose all original loss estimates and all subsequent revisions, allowing policyholders to see how much their losses were calculated and to verify what is being presented as fact. The SB 878 adds automatic penalties when insurers violate existing payment deadlines, removing the financial incentive to delay and helping stalled recoveries move forward. I think that's great, but it's not going to help those people that have been affected by the fire. It's going to take at least a year before this even gets down on the Senate floor. So the bills don't move real fast, but at least they're trying to do something as far as the insurances are concerned, because they have the strongest lobby around, one of the strongest. So plants that heal and purify the earth. And what I thought about was Mother Earth is a living being just like we are. She breathes, she moves. And the soil is in trauma. The soil is hurting. The fire has done damage. Even though it's a cleansing, fire is cleansing, it still is a trauma for the earth. And I did not realize, and I thank Nancy for this, Nancy Johnson, she threw the question out there to me. And so I had to research it. So I called the nursery, and they said the ones that purify, there are 4 of them: sunflower, alfalfa, clover, and radish, the daikon radish. But when I went online, there are other plants that heal and purify the land. And I sort of knew about some of them, but I didn't know about all of them, because I'm from Northern California, the agricultural part. And I know that farmers would plant certain items to improve the soil for the next one coming. And so there are 12, and I put the YouTube video on there, and there are others that give you good information, and they talk about helping seniors with the planning, which is right along with what you were talking about, and the above ground gardens that you can have in your backyard. As quiet as it's kept, there are gardens that you can do in your kitchen in small little pots and things. So I'm just going to name them off, because I think our time is coming to an end. It says plants that purify soil. I don't know if I could say this. It's known as phytoremediators, and they remove contaminants like heavy metals, hydrocarbons, radioactive materials through their roots. Top choices include sunflower, which is lead radiation, Indian mustard, heavy metals, willow trees, heavy metal and oil, and poplars, hydrocarbons. And these plants safely store and break down toxins, restoring ecological balance. I think that's fantastic. So these are the top 12 purifying plants and their functions, and I'll go through them pretty quickly. I'm not going to try to say their real names. So this first one is sunflowers. They are highly efficient at removing radioactive isotopes, lead, arsenic, zinc, and chromium from contaminated soil. The Indian mustard is excellent for cleaning up lead, nickel, and cadmium in agricultural or industrial soils. The willow trees are excellent for cleaning up lead, nickel, and cadmium that's the wrong one. The willow trees absorb heavy metals, salts, and hydrocarbons, particularly effective in wet areas. And I do have this printed in copies, so you can get a copy on your way out. The hemp, which is Cannabis sativa. It's known to remove heavy metals like cadmium, nickel, and lead. The alpine pennycress is a strong hyperaccumulator for zinc and cadmium. The daikon radish, known as drillers, to break up compacted clay soil and improve aeration. A lot of the roots are, the roots go down, and some of these, the roots go down 15 feet into the earth. And it it allows the water to get down and soften, and it also helps with the I'll say microbes that are not healthy, and some of them kill the weeds. They don't allow the weeds to grow. I thought that was interesting because me and weeds fight. So the cover crops, which is the clover, the vetch, buckwheat, they add nutrients, reduce erosion, and improve organic matter. And then they have a few other plants listed, but legumes like clover are ideal for fixing nitrogen in depleted soil. And the willows and the poplars are excellent for treating runoff and petrochemical pollution. So the sunflowers are particularly effective in urban areas, having been used to clean up toxic sites and even radioactive fallout. So those are just a few of them. There are some more, but I just pulled some information together for us for today. And what I was thinking is, even if you're not able to build right now, what's stopping you from planting some things in your soil on your land? That's your land. You can plant what you want to help heal the earth, to help heal the soil and get rid of some of the damage and allow your lot to work through the trauma. You know, you can do it with plants. So, and then you're still participating in your property. You're doing something to help your property, and you're doing something for yourself. So that would be my suggestion. And I'll turn it back over to you, Reverend Mike.
Thank you so much, Patricia. That's excellent information. And also, the One Stop has an exhibit on these plants as well. The health department is there, environmental health, and so you can go there and get a handout that has a lot of these plants on there. I remember them saying that the sunflower takes the lead out of the soil, you know. And you can also get soil testing done there as well. Also, just for your awareness, please remind people we do have a community relief fund, and we are supporting folks in our community who have lost their homes, been displaced, or are in need. Patricia Roach is an excellent resource for that. She leads the committee. Put you on Front Street, Patricia. But she's been doing excellent work. That committee has come together and done so much good helping folks. Also, April 25th is our next Health and Wellness Fair, and we have a workshop for just what you mentioned, growing healthy food in your kitchen, right? Bailey is going to do that workshop this time. Her last workshop was about healthy living. It was standing room only, it was in the kitchen, and she's going to do another one for us coming up. It's April 25th. That'll be all day right here. So I think we have met our objective. We're going to archive this video, make it available, send it out to the community. Also, just a reminder that there's a number of groups in Altadena out together. There are block clubs like Renee Hines. She had another commitment, but she's rebuilding. And everybody on their block, I think they're up in the Meadows, but everybody on their block has come together, and they're coordinating their rebuild together. So, that's a wonderful model. I'm sure she'd be able to share some information with you if you're interested in starting something like that up on your own block. And so I think we can declare that this has been successful. We are now recorded in the quantum realm for all the future, so folks can be watching this. We're still getting views on our first town hall, which was 2020, at 5 years. Well, this is almost 6 years, because February the 27th of 2020. And we're in 26, so is time going faster or something? Something's going on. So we like to close always with a prayer to acknowledge the first ancestor, the one who goes by many names and who responds to them all. And so if you would join with me as we just turn within to that secret and sacred place of the Most High. And we just breathe. We breathe in the breath of our ancestors. We breathe in the breath of the first ancestor, the one who goes by many names and who responds to them all. And we recognize this breath as the breath of our mother and her mother, and the mother of our mother's mother, 1,000 generations back. This breath we breathe is the breath of our father and his father, and the father of our father's father, 1,000 generations back. We breathe in the breath of our children, our descendants, both born and unborn, those who are yet on their way. And in this moment, this blessing that we breathe in, that we call breath, it travels the globe, it travels space and time, and returns to us multiplied and magnified. For we are indeed the place where God shows up. How grateful I am to just speak this word for all who have participated, for all who will view it, and for all who are in the midst of rebuilding their homes and regrowing their lives, rebuilding their spiritual life, regrounding themselves on the absolute truth that God is in charge and all is well. And so I send a special blessing to everyone viewing, everyone listening, and for the even greater yet to be that is to come. For we know that it is good, it is God, and it's already done in the mind of the one. We let this goodness be done in our minds, even now. And in the name and nature of the Most High, we simply say, and so it is. Ashe, amen, aho. Thank you, God. Thank you. Family, we are officially complete. I would love to have some conversation because we want to get your handouts and get those together, put them on the table. Okay. Well, I'm sure that other folks have some questions for you. I certainly do. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So folks at home, we love you. Thank you for participating. We're making history here. And we will have handouts for you, special packages. You can pick them up on Sunday, or we will also work with Harris to create a web page so that we can post these documents online, and then you can just download them at your convenience. Did anybody have any questions online? You could type them in the chat, or through the miracle of modern technology, I'm going to see if I can unmute the TV. Hold on. I just realized I muted the TV.
Yeah. Thank you. Did you find that helpful? I thought it was well done.
Well done. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. Because we lost the picture, but we can hear everything.
Okay, I see the top of your head.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they couldn't hear us on the floor.
Okay, all right. They're having fun. We'll get their questions a little bit later. So we can stop the live stream and we can stop the Zoom. All right, that's pretty good. Very good. And you learn something new every day. I did not realize that Lake had grown up in Altadena. I didn't know that.